Hello and welcome. One day, one person went for the AWS job profile interview. Interviewer said to him that we will ask you 3 questions. If you are going to answer all these 3 questions, your job is done. And then he asked first question. The question is, I have my MySQL database on premises. Now I want to host this into the AWS. Which AWS service I can use? Candidate answer was really very straightforward. He said that you can use AWS RDS. Interviewer said that completely okay. Now I have second question. The second question is how I can improve my database performance. Candidate said that you have 3 options in AWS RDS. First, you can use read replica. Second, you can use RDS proxy because you said that you have MySQL database. And the third one is ElastiCache. Interviewer said that super wonderful. Now, third and final question. After that, your job is done. The question is, when I am going to set up ElastiCache cluster, I am getting 2 options, cluster mode enable and cluster mode disable. Can you tell me the differences of these 2? Now candidate stuck and finally he lost the job. Now, you will not lose your job when you will give interview and you will face this question like this. Because in this video, I am going to explain you differences between cluster mode enable and cluster mode disable in ElastiCache for RDS. So let's start. First of all, I want you to find out this particular option. So you have, I have my MySQL database, and if you go to the actions, here you can create ElastiCache cluster. We already discussed about Redis and Memcache. We also discussed about the differences between serverless and design your own. But when you go to the design your own, here you have cluster mode enabled and cluster mode disabled. We want to understand this, how these 2 things are working. So let's start with the mind map. Now, before I am going to explain you about cluster mode enabled and cluster mode disabled, I want you to understand some terminologies which is really helpful to understand this concept. The first is shard. Now, what is the shard? See, whenever you are going to set up your ElastiCache cluster, you have to set up compute environment for this. You have to set up configuration of your ElastiCache cluster. Now, the configuration is totally dependent on your main database. If your main database is really very heavy, the ElastiCache cluster will be heavy as well. Now, how you can define your ElastiCache cluster? You can define this by setting up shard. Now, what is this shard? Shard is actually combination of compute means primary node, and to provide high availability for primary node, we have replicas for primary node. So let's understand this step by step. A shard is a logical partition of your data set. It consists one primary node. Primary node is actually a compute environment. You can select configuration of your primary node according to your requirement. And for high availability of primary node, we have replica. So each shard is having 2 parts. One primary node, there is only one primary node, and there is up to 0 to 5 replica node, which is providing redundancy. Each shard is responsible for managing portion of the data in the cluster. You can have multiple shards inside the cluster, but actually each shard is storing portion of the data, right? So the whole database is the data set means the data of the database are actually divided into the shard, and each shard is actually storing portion of the data. In a cluster with 3 shards, a data is divided into the 3 parts, and each shard handle 1 part. Okay. Now, in the shard, we have mainly 2 options, primary node. So let's understand this as well. The primary node is a main node in a shard that stores the shard data. You can select primary node according to your requirement. So configuration of primary node is like your selection. You can set up this according to your requirement, handle all the right operations and provide source of the replication. Each SAD has exactly one primary node. Now the problem is what happens if the primary node goes down? Because if the primary node goes down, shard goes down, and if shard goes down, then the data is actually partitioned data here. So all the data of the shard will be lost, and at the end you will lose your data. So in this case, we have redundancy, and the redundancy is actually provided by replica node. A replica node is an exact copy of the primary node within shard. By offering a read traffic from the primary node, replicas improve the performance for read-heavy workload. So replica is not like a standby, right? It is also going to improve performance, and yes, replica ensure high availability by taking over if the primary node fails, right? So now your concept about shard is 100% clear. Let's talk about cluster mode enable. So what I am doing, look at this. Here I am going to say I want to create Redis cluster, I want to design my own, I want to enable cluster mode, and here we have this shard. So in the cluster mode enable, if you have cluster mode enable, you can create multiple shard. So let's say that if I am going to say 3 here, okay, it means it will create 3 shard, and each shard will have one primary node and up to 5 read replica. Okay, so let's say that if I am going to say I want to create 3 shard and I want to create 1 replica per shard. Okay, so 3 shard will be created and each shard will have 1 replica. Let's say that if I am going to create 2 here, I am going to write 2 here. What will happen? Total number of shard 3, but each shard will have 2 replicas. Means the total number of replica would be 3 multiplied by 2, means 6 replicas will be created. Okay. Now, node type. So in each shard we have primary node, so we can choose the configuration of primary node. Now look at this. This is a primary node with 317 gigabyte of memory. So you can choose your primary node configuration according to your requirement. Now if I am going to create 3 shard, means it is going to create 3 primary node with 6.38 GB of memory, right? According to my requirement, I can go up to 500 shard if I want to, if I have huge database, right? So let's understand this using mind map as well. I hope you got complete understanding by seeing the picture only. In the cluster mode enable, your data is partitioned across multiple shard. So if I am going to talk about this cluster, I have 3 shard. So my data will be divided into the 3 parts. Look at this. Handles a portion of the data set. Each shard stores the subset of your data and operates independently, allow the cluster to handle large data set and higher traffic efficiently. Let's say that if I am getting more traffic, I want to increase capacity of my cluster more, I can add more shard according to my requirement. I can add up to 500 shard. The mode is only supported in Redis. In Amazon ElastiCache, a Memcache does not support sharding. Look at this. If I am going to select Memcache, the cluster mode will be disappear because it is not actually supporting cluster mode. So keep this in mind. Redis only supports cluster mode. Memcache not supporting this. Now, if you have cluster mode enable, you have multiple shard inside the cluster, so data partition across the shard. The data is divided into multiple shard using hashing mechanism. We don't need to worry about mechanism. We just need to understand that data will be divided. Okay. Each shard handle portion of the data, allowing a cluster to scale horizontally. We can increase number of shard according to our requirement to provide scalability. High performance. By distributing data across shard, the cluster can handle high volume of read and write requests simultaneously, and optional replica further improve the read scalability. High availability. Each set can have up to 5 replica for redundancy. So here I can provide number of replica, but keep this in mind when I am writing 5 over here, means each replica. Sorry, let me choose Redis here. Let me choose cluster mode. Now if I am going to select 5, means each set will have 5 replica, means it is going to create 15 replicas. Okay. Each set can have up to 5 replica for redundancy. A primary node in the shared phase, one of its replica within a shared is promoted to primary automatically. So here actually your read replica is providing, or a replica is actually going to provide you 2 benefits. Read replica is not right word, you can say replica. 2 benefits. One, it is actually providing us redundancy. If primary node goes down, read replica or a replica can become primary and you will get your data back. Another, if you have primary node, read replicas are actually handling all read queries. So your primary node can concentrate on write operations. So it is also going to provide high performance. So I hope you got the complete understanding about cluster mode. Here we can decide our primary node size, number of shared and number of replicas. Now if I am going to choose cluster mode disable, what will happen? Now what I want you to see this particular picture. Whenever I am going to create this kind of mind map, I'm always concentrating on creating the picture. The best picture will explain you everything. And I'm giving you guarantee by seeing this particular picture, you will easily get understanding or differences between cluster mode enable and disabled. I don't need to explain anything. This picture is enough. So let me open this. Sorry, I know that you want to watch full video, but full video is now not available on YouTube. If you want to watch full video, I want you to go to our website. When you will go to our website, you will find out our course 100 Days YouTube Challenge. I want you to enroll for this course by paying only 499 rupees for lifetime if you are from India. If you are from outside of India, you just need to pay $7 US. Once you will enroll to this course, you are going to get all full videos over there on our portal. You are also going to get certificate after completing the course, and we have just uploaded 120 videos. We are going to upload another 120 videos as well. So there will be total 240 videos. I hope we are going to meet inside the class. Thank you very much.